Hi everyone, welcome back to the Dr. Byrnes TOEFL show. Today, we will practice TOEFL interview questions. Let's work together to learn how to respond and earn a top score interview response. Today, we have 4 interview questions related to successful government leadership. First, listen carefully to the first question.
Take an interview. An interviewer will ask you questions. Answer the questions and be sure to say as much as you can in the time allowed. No time for preparation will be provided.
Thank you for joining the study. Today, I'd like to ask you some questions about successful government. First, thinking about your own experiences and the place where you grew up, which contributes most to a country's success? Business opportunities, medical care, or education?
The question is, which contributes the most to the success of a country? You are given 3 choices: business opportunities, medical care, education. The question also says based on your own experience and where you grew up. This means you should talk about the country you were born in or grew up in. The question is not abstract. It asks you to explain how your country has succeeded or developed. You need to choose one option among the 3. Questions like this are called policy questions, especially questions asking which area the government should invest in the most. These questions are very common. They can appear in TOEFL writing academic discussion tasks and also in interviews or speaking tasks. So first, let's brainstorm some basic benefits for each option. Business opportunities help a country grow economically. When businesses expand, they create jobs and improve the overall economy. A strong business environment can attract foreign investment and increase national wealth. Medical care improves the health and productivity of citizens. When people have access to good healthcare, they live longer and can work more effectively. Healthy populations reduce economic burdens from disease and improve overall quality of life. Education develops skills, knowledge, and innovation. Educated citizens can create new technologies, build businesses, and improve government systems. In the long term, education supports both economic development and social progress. When answering this question, you should choose one option and explain clearly why it contributes the most to a country's success, using examples from your own country or personal experience. Dr. Byrnes used her life experience as someone who was born in South Korea, and she chose education as the main factor behind the country's success. When developing your response, you should always think about organization. First, respond to the question directly. Start with a clear statement such as, "Personally, I believe X." A common mistake students make is saying, "In my opinion, I believe X." This expression is very redundant because both phrases communicate the same idea. You might wonder why "personally" is acceptable, but "in my opinion" is not acceptable in that sentence. This is why. Personally signals that your answer is based on your own experience or perspective, which fits very well with TOEFL-style questions that ask you to refer to your background or where you grew up. Example: personally, I believe education is the most important factor in a country's success. Here, personally emphasizes that the speaker is drawing on personal experience or observation, and it sounds natural in an interview-style response. Why you should not say, "In my opinion, I believe." The problem is redundancy. "In my opinion" means "this is my belief." "I believe" means "this is my belief." So using them together simply repeats the same idea. Incorrect. "In my opinion, I believe education is the most important factor." Correct options: "In my opinion, education is the most important factor." "I believe education is the most important factor." Personally, I believe education is the most important factor. Next, give one strong reason why you think your choice is the most important. This reason should be a general idea that you can support with examples and facts. For instance, if you choose education, you might say that education is the most important factor because educated citizens are like the brain of a nation. Educated people create new ideas, solve complex problems, and drive innovation. Then you should support this idea with facts and examples. For example, in South Korea, education played a major role in national development. Today, a large percentage of Korean adults have college degrees. A highly educated population encourages innovation, critical thinking, and creativity. These qualities can lead to economic growth and cultural influence. For instance, Korean culture has become globally popular through industries such as K-pop music and Korean television dramas. Finally, you should end your answer with a meaningful conclusion. Avoid simply repeating your first sentence. Instead of saying something like, "Overall, this is why I believe education is important," you should connect the conclusion to the example and idea you discussed. For instance, you might say, "When it comes to Korea's development, education played a key role in transforming the country into a successful and influential nation." This type of conclusion summarizes your idea and reinforces your main point without repeating the exact same wording. This is an example of a well-organized sample response structure.
Personally, I believe education contributes the most to a country's success. I like to think of it as the brain of a nation. Long-term success requires brain power. Just over 50 years ago, Korea was one of the poorest countries in the world, with a GDP per capita under $100. The government invested heavily in schools and teacher training. Today, almost 60% of Korean adults have a college education, compared to about 37% in the US. This educated population has fueled both economic growth and global cultural success, like K-pop and Korean food. From my experience, strong education gave Korea the skills to innovate and improve society.
I see. Do you think successful governments are defined more by economic growth or by the overall well-being of their citizens? Explain your opinion.
The second interview question is, which is more important, economic growth or overall well-being? To answer, let's brainstorm the pros and cons of each. First, let's look at economic growth. The good things about growth are that it can give a country more money and resources, encourage people to invest and start new businesses, and sometimes create jobs. Governments can also get more revenue to spend on public services. But growth isn't perfect. It can increase inequality, harm the environment, and sometimes focus more on profit than on people's happiness. Even with growth, not everyone's life improves. Some people may still struggle. Next, let's consider well-being, which is about people's overall quality of life. Focusing on well-being means caring about health, education, and life satisfaction. It can reduce stress, help communities work together, and encourage sustainable use of resources. The downside is that prioritizing well-being too much can slow economic growth, limit funding for new projects, and reduce business opportunities. So, which should we choose? This sample response argues that overall well-being is more important than economic growth.
I believe a successful government should be measured by the overall well-being of its citizens. A high GDP can look impressive on paper, but when most of that wealth is concentrated in the hands of the super rich, it can lead to public unrest, instability, and even failure. In the US, for example, the richest 1% hold over 30% of the country's wealth and often influence policies that benefit themselves, which makes ordinary citizens struggle even more with housing, education, and healthcare. In contrast, when a government ensures access to essential services and fair opportunities, society becomes more stable and productive. As Adam Smith said, a nation's true wealth is measured by the well-being of its people, not just money.
Good point. Some people believe that governments are necessary because certain problems cannot be solved by individuals, families, or communities alone. What are some reasons or examples that show why government involvement is important?
The third question is government necessary? This type of question has appeared in past TOEFL independent speaking tasks, so it's useful to think about. First, the view that government is necessary. People who support this idea often give several reasons. Governments can accomplish big projects that individuals or small groups cannot, like building dams, highways, or large hospitals. Governments enforce rules and laws. While groups of people can make rules, what happens if some do not follow them? Without a government, punishing rule breakers is almost impossible for individuals or small groups. In this way, government is indispensable for maintaining order, stability, and protecting citizens' rights, such as life and property. Now, the view that government is unnecessary, people who argue against government believe that government authority can conflict with personal freedom. Some feel that people can never be fully free under a government. Some governments are used to enforce social inequality, giving power to some people over others. Governments can also be corrupt or wasteful. Both views have strengths. This sample response argues that government is necessary.
I think the government is necessary because it's the only entity that can solve problems individuals or communities cannot handle. For example, large projects like building and maintaining public transportation require resources and coordination beyond what people can do on their own. The government also sets rules like which side of the road to drive on. Imagine the chaos if everyone drove however they wanted. It enforces these rules and punishes violators, which is essential for maintaining peace and order. Without government intervention, laws would be meaningless and society would lack stability. So, solving coordination problems and enforcing rules are two main reasons why the government is necessary.
Interesting. Lastly, we all know one role of the government is to punish offenders. However, it's been noticed that some people commit more crimes even after serving their first sentence. Why do you think this happens, and what can the government do to prevent it?
This is the last interview question. What can the government do to help people who have been released from prison reintegrate into society? First, let's think about why some people commit crimes again after being in prison. One reason is that they cannot find jobs, which can push them back into illegal activities. Another reason is mental health problems, which may require rehabilitation and support. To address these issues, the government can provide job training and employment opportunities so that former prisoners can earn a living legally. Offer mental health support and rehabilitation programs to help them cope with personal challenges and reduce the risk of reoffending. These measures can make it easier for people leaving prison to rebuild their lives and successfully return to society. This is a sample response.
I think there are a few main reasons why some offenders commit more crimes after serving their first sentence. One big reason is that it's really hard for them to find jobs after leaving prison. Most employers require a clean criminal record. So without work, they have no way to earn money, and some end up turning back to crime. Another important reason is mental health. Many prisoners struggle with issues like substance abuse or PTSD, and these problems are often not treated properly in prison. To prevent reoffending, I think governments should provide rehabilitation programs that focus on job training, mental health care, and anger management. Giving people the skills and support to reintegrate into society can really reduce repeat offenses.
Okay, that's a wrap for today. Thank you for watching.